Hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today's video is the sixth and final part of my solo show preparations, and this piece is titled Light After Dark. So for the beginning of this piece, I decided to start with the sky in the background. And while this is normally how I like to start my landscape pieces, it was really enjoyable to start this piece with these beautiful and abstract clouds that added so much dynamic light and shadow to the piece. The landscape photo reference for this piece was taken at sunrise, so you can really see how that strong burst of light is spread out through the clouds and the mist. And speaking of light, I too have to say that overall creating this painting really tested my observation skills of light and shadow more than any other pieces in recent memory. And as I start to work on the figure, I'm realizing that most of her form is in shadow. So I really want to emphasize the parts of her that are in the sunlight, as well as not lose any important details in those shadows. And I will say that one of the downsides of working in a single layer, like I usually do, is that it can be really difficult to understand your values when you're comparing them to a white background. So sometimes your midtones and even highlights will look extra dark compared to the blank white background. So for me, this is something that I try to keep in mind while I'm painting. So once I do get all the paint down and there's no more white shining through, I can get a more complete picture of what the values look like and then make any adjustments if I need to. So the bottom half of this figure was probably the most complicated portion of this painting. There were so many intricate folds in the dress, creating different highlights and shadows, as well as the light coming through the dress in a slightly translucent layer. So I really just did my best to take my time and enjoy the results that I was progressively getting with more and more work. And the section below the figure was one that I actually decided to make in 2 layers. This section had a thin layer of fog in front of dark shadows, so I decided to paint it just that way. And once this lower section had dried, I ended up doing some additional glazing to really get that translucent look in the fog. And I do want to say that this piece was almost never created in the first place. I came up with the idea for this piece last minute because I realized that another painting idea that I had planned was going to take too long. So I needed a painting idea that was smaller and would take less time. So in the panic of the month and a half before my solo show, I came up with this idea. And I think that it just goes to show that if you have an idea that you're really excited about, it can really pay off to not think too much and just run with it. And once I finished this piece, I spent a lot of time thinking about what I wanted it to mean and what it would represent to those who viewed it. So for me, this piece shows the morning after a prolonged darkness. When we hurt for the world, it can be unbelievably difficult to see how the sun could rise again. But on this particular morning, the sun rose with incredible power, casting light on the people who try to do good in this world. This light shows you their love and empathy, as well as their drive to change the world for the better. And even though you understand that the darkness will inevitably come again, the intense light gives you a renewed sense of agency to fight for others and a better world. So I really hope you enjoyed seeing how I created this piece, as well as all my other paintings from my solo show. I worked so hard on every single one, and I'm really proud of the show that I put together. Putting together a solo show was such a big step forward for me in my career, and I'm insanely grateful for the opportunity. So if you have the time, please use the link in the description to view the entire show on the gallery website. And as a reminder, prints of all of my solo show paintings are available on my website, which is austinhowlett.com. Thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it, and I will see you next time.
Okay, can you drop your hand?